It was supposed to be a new beginning. Paul Watson tightened his grip on the steering wheel as their silver Dodge cruised along the Pacific Coast Highway. He glanced sideways at Linda, his wife of just 6 months. She sat beside him, her dark hair tied in a loose braid, a blanket across her lap despite the California sun. Her pale blue eyes stared out at the waves with a vacant intensity that unsettled him. The doctors had called it a temporary dissociative fugue. She'd been found wandering the streets of Seattle, incoherent, after being attacked in her own home while Paul was away at conference. Her mind had simply shut down. Now, after months in psychiatric care, they were moving into a modest beachside bungalow in Ventura, far from the city, memories, and most importantly, the fear. "You'll love it here," Paul said gently. Linda didn't respond. She simply kept staring. The bungalow was quiet. No footsteps from upstairs neighbors, no honking horns, just the endless rhythm of the tide. Paul set a new routine. Mornings were for long walks on the beach. Afternoons for reading, sketching, or music. Evenings, they'd sit on the porch watching the sunset in silence. Linda was still mostly withdrawn, but every now and then he caught glimpses of the woman he married. Brief smiles, fingers tracing the lines of his face as if trying to remember him, humming half-forgotten melodies from before. One day, as he came back from the market, he found her sitting at the kitchen table, scribbling with charcoal on paper. It was a face, a man's face, harsh, angular, something about it made his stomach tighten. "Who is this?" he asked. She stared at it blankly. He hurt me." Paul sat down. "Linda, you remember something?" Tears welled in her eyes. "It's his face. I know it is." Paul took the sketch to the police in Seattle, but there was nothing to go on. No arrests had been made. The case was cold as the rain that fell the night she disappeared. Back in Ventura, Linda began recovering rapidly. She was sharper, stronger. Her eyes lit up when she saw Paul. They laughed over dinner, made love again. She walked the beach alone. Then, one afternoon, she returned from town trembling and wild-eyed. "I saw him," she whispered, "at the park near the boardwalk." Paul leapt to his feet. "You saw the man who attacked you?" She nodded slowly, her fingers gripping his shirt like talons. "Did he see you?" "No, but I saw him." "It's him, Paul. I'd know that face anywhere." Paul's jaw clenched. "We'll go back. Show me." They returned the next morning. Linda scanned the park, tense as a coiled spring. "There," she hissed. Paul followed her gaze. A man sat alone on a bench, feeding pigeons. He was maybe 40, wearing a canvas jacket and jeans. His salt and pepper beard trimmed neatly. Nothing about him seemed dangerous. "That's him," Linda said, trembling. Paul approached slowly, heart pounding. "Excuse me, do you live around here?" The man looked up. "What's it to you?" "My wife thinks she knows you." The man frowned. "I don't know your wife." Linda approached now, fire in her eyes. "You hurt me, in Seattle." The man's brow furrowed. "Lady, I don't even know you." "She's been through hell," Paul said, "and she's sure you're the one." The man rose, spreading his arms. "Search me. Call the cops. I haven't been to Seattle." Linda's breath became raged. Liar! Paul stepped forward. You're sure she's wrong? I'm damn sure, the man snapped. Maybe your wife's got me confused with someone else. It happens. Linda suddenly lunged. No, you won't do it again. She raked her nails down the man's face, shrieking. Paul pulled her back as onlookers turned. The man wiped blood from his cheek, eyes burning. You people need help. At home, Linda broke down. I know it's him, Paul. I feel it in my bones. That man, he destroyed me. Paul held her as she sobbed into his chest. Later that night, after she fell asleep, we sat on the porch staring at the stars. Maybe the man was the one. Or maybe Linda's mind had stitched the trauma into an innocent face. But her certainly was infectious, and her pain unbearable. The next day, Paul returned to the park alone. The man was there again. Paul sat beside him. Look, I don't want trouble, but I need closure. My wife can't sleep. She's breaking apart. The man sighed. I told you, I'm not the guy. Look, here's my ID. Thomas Petrilli, born and raised in Oxnard. Paul examined the license. It looked real. She swears it's you. I don't know your wife. She's sick. Paul stood, fists clenched. Yeah, because someone made her that way. 3 days later, the body was found in an alley near the harbor. Blunt trauma to the head, no witnesses, no fingerprints. The local paper printed a small article. Thomas Petrilli, 42, dies in unexplained attack. Police investigate. Linda read it in silence. Was it him? She finally asked. Paul nodded once. He won't hurt you anymore. She stared at him for a long time. Thank you. That night, she slept through without waking. But the peace didn't last. A week later, Paul came home to find her crying in the shower. What's wrong? I saw him again, she whispered. What are you talking about? He was in town, at the corner store just now. Paul's stomach turned to stone. That's impossible. He's gone. I saw his face, Paul. Exactly the same. No, you're just confused. You're stressed. It was him. She screamed. How could you let him live? Paul grabbed her by the shoulders. Linda, I killed him. Her face drained of color. You what? I did it for you, because you said it was him. You said you were sure. Silence hung in the air. Then Linda blinked. No, I was wrong. It wasn't him. Paul staggered back, mouth dry. What are you saying? I just remembered, she whispered. It was someone else. A different face. Paul stared at her, his heart a warm drum. You were wrong? She nodded slowly. It came back just now. I remembered. His hands, his cologne, his voice. It wasn't the man you killed. Paul sank to the floor, the room spinning. I thought I was helping you. I thought... Linda wrapped herself in a towel and walked away, leaving wet footprints on the wooden floor. The next morning, she was gone. No note, no message. Paul sat alone staring at the sketch she'd drawn weeks ago. It looked nothing like the man he'd murdered. 3 weeks passed. Then the phone rang. Paul Watson, said a clipped voice. Yes, this is Detective Rivera, Ventura Police. We need to speak to you about a woman named Linda Carrington. Says she's your wife. Paul's throat tightened. Is she okay? She's alive, but she was found wandering in the streets of San Francisco. Claims someone trying to kill her. Paul's heart dropped. I'll come at once. When he saw her again, she looked different. Not bruised or injured, just far away. Her eyes as glassy as the first day they drove down the coast. The hospital nurse leaned in. "She's suffering delusions," said someone heard her. Then changed the story. Then said her husband was a murderer. "We think she may be schizophrenic, with trauma-induced paranoia." Paul stared at Linda through the glass. She didn't even react. "She never fully recovered," he whispered. We thought she was better." The nurse nodded sympathetically. Paul pressed his hand to the glass. "It's all my fault." Paul moved back to Seattle, sold the bungalow, and lived alone. Thomas Petrelli's murder remained unsolved. Just another quiet tragedy swept under the waves. Sometimes, Paul walked the parks, looking into strangers' faces. One night, he dreamed of Linda standing at the beach, hair blowing in the wind. She smiled. Then behind her, another man emerged. Different face, same darkness in the eyes. Paul awoke drenched in sweat. He stared at his hands. What if she remembered another face next?
If you enjoyed the video, like and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.